I know you have really big, desires and commitments around legacy. I'd love to hear you speak to that.
Yeah, you know what most families want more of? They want more of the person that is out building the legacy. They want more time with them. They don't really, an extra $1 million or whatever doesn't mean much to a kid, but more time with mom or dad who's normally out working a lot, and that's great. Hard work, having them see you work hard, that's a great trait. But when we move the goalpost, we have to realize that we're moving it because we're driven in large part by our ego, because we got to where we were focused on. We thought that that was going to give us some level of fulfillment. We get there, just like you said, we realize that it's not that fulfilling, and then we move the goalpost. So thinking that, well, if I get more, then I'll be happy. Then I'll spend more time with the family. And what we do, which is such a tragedy, is we actually almost blame it on our family, right? We use them as the excuse for why we're working 60, 80 hours a week, and we're not home for dinner, and we're traveling, all over the place. And look, it's not that I've stopped desiring more in my life. I have to check that a lot. But what I want more than anything is not more money. What I want is to make sure that my children feel my love in their life, that they learn not only from mom, who spends a lot of time with them, but they also learn from me. And I think that we take this skill of leadership and leading teams, and we sometimes think that it's not appropriate to bring that skill home. And if you walk through the door acting like a CEO and you're barking orders at everybody, I don't recommend that's how you lead your team either. But I do recommend, and it's part of my life's work and mission, that whatever skills you're using to build your best team, whatever your number one work team is, whatever skills or rhythms or systems you use to build that team and keep that team on point and on values and hitting their goals, use those same talents that you already have for your family. And yeah, I mean, not every family is excited about meetings. Not every team's excited about meetings, but you still make your team have meetings. Why? Because you'll get lost without them. You won't know the priorities. The vision's cloudy, and the mission is muddy. So we've got to, as entrepreneurs, stop leaving the house and saying, hey, this is whoever's staying home with the kids' responsibility. They're in charge of the house. My job is to go over here and be in the business world. We have to make those two worlds come together. And if we don't, then what happens is some of the greatest leaders, influencers, business minds, strategic thinkers in the whole world will not be transferring that information to their children. They'll build this huge legacy, and then they have these kids that have no idea how they should approach it. And that pressure has wrecked kids. It leads to addiction, depression, all kinds of bad things that no entrepreneur would wish upon their children or their families, but they inadvertently do it. And then they use the family as the excuse. I'm doing it for them. I want to make sure they're set up. If anything ever happens to me, I want them to have the means and the abilities to be wealthy. But you know what? Most of us didn't get wealthy because our parents, we inherited money from them, right? Most of us as entrepreneurs, we went and worked our tails off. Now, I got the benefit of a leg up working with my dad, but we weren't wealthy when we started that journey. He wasn't wealthy. I didn't grow up wealthy. I was a middle-class kid. My parents both worked, 40, 50 hours a week. And I was an only child. And I think that desire was born in me then because I always wanted more time with my parents, right? And I got a lot of time with them, a lot more than most, so I'm not complaining. But I understood that, hey, if I had more time with my dad and he maybe included me more in his business or brought more of his business home into the environment to build our team called our family, the McCarthy family, then that's the number one team, like for everybody, is your home team. That's the team that you need to do team building exercises with. That's the team that you need to collaborate best with. That's the team that you need to make sure that there is a dream manager for, that's helping each individual reach their goals. So we do all of this stuff in our businesses and our work teams, but then we just don't do it at home. And I think the definition of a legacy is helping to equip the next generation to carry that legacy forward. And your legacy will only be as strong as the hands that you equip to make that transition so that they can carry it forward and into the world. And so there's this huge gap that I see between entrepreneurs and their families, and it keeps getting bigger. Even COVID, guys and gals got a bunch of time at home with their families. They did more family stuff. They loved it. It was great. But as soon as the world gets back to normal, then they go back to doing what they were already doing, hopefully with some great memories, which is important. But I think it's much better to not wait for a world pandemic to come along to then spend more time with the family. I think we've got to do it in rhythms every day, every week, every month, every quarter, just like we would with any team that we're leading.